Hey, what's up? Andrew Kramer here, videocopilot.net, and welcome to a very special DVD training for Action Essentials 2. And in this tutorial, we're going to be going over the elements, how they can be used, but remember, no matter what the name of the element is, think about these elements in terms of what they look like to you. That's what all these compositing elements are about, is mixing and matching and being creative. So, you've got the Action Essentials DVDs, whether it's the 2K version or the 720p version. They both include all of the same elements, and you should have 20 categories like this. So what I like to do is copy all of those files onto my hard drive on my computer and have all of those files accessible. And this is a great way to do it because then they're all there ready for you whenever you need them. Now, on the DVD, you'll also find a great thumbnail gallery. And what it basically is a folder with smaller versions of each file. So if we go into the atmosphere section, I'm using Adobe Bridge. You can use iTunes or any media browser. And I'm going to double click on the atmosphere. And we've got these great little previews set up on blue backgrounds. Now remember, Action Essentials is completely pre-keyed and ready to go. What that means is we've already taken the background out. All you have to do is place the footage on top of your footage and it's ready to go. The reason we use a blue background is just so you can see where the transparency is in the clip. Some clips are actually black elements, like black debris, and you can't see them on black, so we went ahead and just took that out, added a nice blue background, and they're much smaller, so they play a lot quicker. You also notice that the first frame of each element, maybe not in the thumbnail, unfortunately, but if you click on the frame, you can see that the first frame we created is a great representation of what that element is, along with the name of the element, how long it is, and how many frames. So it's a great way to be able to go through all these elements, see the ones that you like, and incorporate them. Obviously, having a collection with this many elements, it's very important to be able to find elements fast. Now, before we get into all these great elements, let's take a look at what pre-keyed means. So if I jump over to After Effects, I've just got a basic scene here, and I've imported one of the explosions from the explosions category. And I'm going to take it, drop it into my comp, and you can see that the background has already been keyed out. I can scale the clip down, put it into my scene, and bam. Just like that, it's ready to go. Now, obviously, you want to be able to finesse these clips and composite them, but this is a great way to get started so you don't have to sit there and spend all the time that we spent keying all these elements out, because I got to tell you, we spent a lot of time meticulously getting these elements to look great and save you a lot of time. So that's the gist of it, pre-keyed. Now, the other cool thing is pre-keyed works in other programs as well. So here we are in Premiere, and I'm just going to import one of these dirt charge elements. And these are great for maybe a war scene where we have just this big explosive go off right in the middle there and shoots up a bunch of debris. Obviously, it doesn't belong on a street, or maybe it does, depending on your idea of a great movie. So it works in Premiere, no problem. You just put the clips in, almost just the same as in After Effects. It already recognizes the alpha. You're good to go. Now, in Vegas Video, it also works the same way. We can take our dirt charge, import the clip, create a new video track, insert, and take our dirt charge and put it on top. Now, the only problem in Vegas is it doesn't recognize the alpha right away, but it is there. So right-click on your footage, go to the properties, and change the alpha channel to pre-multiplied. Okay? And you're in business. You can click on that crop tool and move that around, and all of a sudden, bam, you're blowing up Los Angeles, which apparently is the cool thing to do. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these great elements and how you can use them. Now, atmospheres. These elements, they look pretty simple, but I got to tell you, these are very, very cool elements. And I've set up a quick comp to show you what you can do. It could be smoke coming out of, a truck. It could be, atmosphere. I've set it up in an example where I'm going to show you, here we have this sort of burned out scene, and I've added atmosphere number 6, which looks like that. And I've added a little bit of color correction to give it a gold color. And now we've created a very, eerie feel to this scene. Not that it's not already eerie, but you can see that these elements are in fact very versatile. And if you have the 2K version, you can really scale them up and still preserve a lot of that detail. Now, moving on back to Bridge, where we're previewing all these great elements. I'm going to go back to our thumbnail gallery. We have our blood, which, you know what this is. This is for creating, dangerous things. Now, remember, you have the bursts that shoot out sideways. These are just amazing. We've got the explosion bursts, for doing maybe a headshot or something fancy like that. There's also some splat elements that just kind of, could be the wall. You got some really kind of gooey blood, and a blood squirt, maybe you chop a head off and, I'm not saying do any of those things, but, these elements are here ready to go. Okay, next we have charges. Now these are kind of like fire blast, kind of black powder. Some of them kind of have a little bit of a fireworks feel to them, but most of them are just kind of quick blasts. They could be used maybe for a slow motion muzzle flash, or to be used with explosions in some of our fire elements to create a fast flash, and you'll be able to see what that does for you. And there's some great sparks, towards the end of some of these elements. Moving on, we have couch hits. Now, you don't have to be shooting up couches. These are great just for bullet hits. If you're having machine gun fire, some interior scenes. Now we have the debris, which is a very awesome category. We've also included some CG elements of things that are hard to capture, like debris falling and the camera looking at it completely. Now, later on in some of the other tutorials, you're going to see how great these elements are and how well they will blend, even though they look like they just come out of nowhere. The key is to build them around, say, an explosion or something, and then they fall onto the ground and create that illusion that your elements are actually in the scene. So you guys are going to have some fun with these debris elements, and there's some small bits, if a car blows up and you just have little chunks falling off of it, those are great, as well as some larger, like wall hits that you can incorporate. Now we have some debris falling, so this is kind of like, a building's collapsing and all the pieces are falling. So those are extremely useful. And some other debris, and we blew up a few light bulbs. I don't know how helpful these are going to be, but, it was pretty fun. Okay, we've got the dirt charges. Now these are incredible elements, and unfortunately, the thumbnails aren't doing it justice. If we just click on them here and look at our main preview, you can see there's just tons of different charges that we blew up, and these are great for your war movies where you have big old mortars going off. And these are the wide ones, but if we go down to the bottom here, we've actually got some more close-up ones to really give you that kind of in-your-face explosive charge. Moving on, and I am trying to go through these quickly so you can get on with your life. Dust elements. Dust elements. These I'm extremely proud of, and I'll tell you why. They're so useful, and, they're so hard to capture. I mean, we had to do some pretty crafty things to be able to get dust that comes at the camera and looks so natural and so large. We shot these in slow motion, so it looks like they're just these big blasts of dust. And later on in a few of the tutorials, you're going to see how useful these can actually be. So check those out, the dust. Now the dust waves, another example of an element that we creatively came up with ways to capture it. Because think about it. We have to film it either in front of black or on a green screen, and yet we still have to get our tools in there to be able to make the dust interact. So, not giving away any secrets, but I gotta say, it was pretty clever. But here's one of them. I mean, let me tell you the versatility on a clip like this. Say you have a building falling down, and, sometimes hiding that seam where a building and the live action element, comes together is so difficult. And having dust to sort of, band-aid those two elements together is incredible. And that's what these really let you do, is they give you that kind of blending shockwave effect. And we've just got, some different types, some different ones, some smaller, bigger, all that good stuff. So, and the amazing explosions. Now we kept these on black so that you could actually, see what's happening. Now this car bomb, I gotta tell you, this is actually a real car blowing up. And when you mix that with your footage, you're going to see how cool that is. Now, this is shot, it couldn't be shot on black or on a green screen because it's so dangerous, but we took our time to meticulously map that out, and you should be able to use that really, really well. And we got these big explosions. Look at this thing. I mean, we seriously went all out. This one, that one's even bigger. If you look at the detail on that. And then we have some smaller kind of charges. They're great because they have fire on the ground. These elements here with the lighter background, we included that so that you can see there is little chunks and wood debris flying around. And, we wanted to make sure that that was visible. And some of these other great elements like fire. Now remember, we could film these elements, extremely wide, and, they wouldn't go out of the frame. But the problem with that is you won't have that detail, that is essential in a lot of your work. So we kind of mixed it up. Some shots are completely in the frame, and other shots go out of the frame, to really see that detail of that fire. So, I know some of you are thinking, they go out of the frame, but you're going to find when you're compositing, you want some of that close-up stuff to really, intensify the action. And obviously, there's some of the wider stuff also, so you can do your wide-angle shot. So, moving on, explosions. We've got fire. Pretty self-explanatory, but I do want to point out one thing, is that some of this fire at the camera is incredible. And we literally had this red camera right up against the fire, and the fire flame is just burning right at the lens. Kind of hard to see in that one, but just look at this fire. I mean, that's how far we went to bring you incredible elements. And even further, but I don't want to talk about that. We've got glass. Man, these glass elements, these are incredible. Some of them are CG because, one, we needed to be able to capture it in a way. Say you have a big skyscraper and the window blows out and you have all the glass falling down. Well, we did this with a CG element so that you can have the glass falling for a long time. And that way, you can incorporate it. Also, we have some glass hitting the ground. So if you have a car explosion, you can have some glass kind of shattering and hitting the ground. We render this out in slow motion. So you can do it slow or you can do it fast. And obviously, we got some real live action stuff. We've got some bullet hits. We've got some big old, windows crashing. And of course, we've got these incredible windshield hits. So this is like glass. And let me show you that. I've actually set up a comp for that. We've just got a little windshield here. And I'm going to take 2 of these windshield hits, bring them out. And I'm going to set the transfer mode to add. And I'm just going to scale these down. You can even offset the time. And check it out. I mean, that's just incredible right there to be able to just create, windshield hits that look this realistic. And we have several different angles, so you can work that in. And moving on, we've got muzzle flashes. You know what these are. These are for your guns. And we've got pre-set up automatic fire. And it may be hard to see with the screen recording, but basically we set it up so that a few rounds are already grouped together so that you can, get going a lot quicker. Got some side stuff, some camera stuff. We got a nice suppressed fire looking one there. Love that one. And going down the line here, I mean, these are real. Look at these. These are just nasty looking muzzle flashes. Got some bright ones, some less than bright ones, different styles, straight on stuff coming right at you there. And the suppressed fire individual hits. Great stuff. Particle hits. Now, these are a lot like the couch hits, but these are slightly different. They have sort of micro particles. Those are really cool. You could create a scene where there's just particles flying everywhere. Powder hits, another example, a little bit more fine kind of particles. Now, we've got smoke. Of course, we've got smoke. We've got this incredible dark, thick smoke. This is actually a CG render, and I got to call out my buddy Speedbreaker. He actually did that. I hired him to make awesome smoke, and he did just that. And later on, you're going to see a great example of how this can be incorporated with some of the explosions to just be incredible. I've got some soft smoke here. And of course, remember, any of the smoke, it's all pre-keyed. you can also take it, tint it black, and you have dark smoke as well. So just because it's white doesn't mean that you can't work it into a way that you want. And they've got some of these great kind of very cool stuff going on. Smoke. We've got smoke charges. Some great tutorials using some of these. And these are just those kind of, and there's some wider angles. Look, this one's done extremely slow motion. You can use that for a long time and then feather the top of the frame. These are really useful. And also think about how these would look tinted black. And a lot of possibilities. And we've got sparks, and we've got some awesome sparks. So we've got like some spark hits. These are like firecrackers, but these are great for like bullet hits on metal, things like that, different angles. We've also got some great looking kind of, ash kind of flying around. We've got close-up sparks, cars running next to each other, stuff coming at the camera. We've got these great welding sparks, which you're going to see how those come into play a little bit later. And some foreground stuff, which just looks incredible when you incorporate it in your footage. Some out of focus stuff. That just looks cool. I'm not sure what that's going to do for you. Maybe some motion graphics, but that's just cool looking. And there's nothing like, real sparks. I know some people are saying, hey, why don't you use particular? Particular's awesome, okay? But the organic nature of real sparks and the imperfections that they have, in the way that they're captured, is just something you can't emulate. So, not saying you wouldn't want to incorporate, particular or CG particles with live action particles to get, a specific look, but I got to tell you, the real stuff just is incredible. I've got the sparks wall hits. So these are kind of, you're blowing away some plaster. They got nice smoke, nice pieces, so those are definitely good hits. Got some wall hits. Got some bullet shells. So I've got two types here. These are 3D, obviously, but they're spinning already for you. So what you do is you just animate them, the position flying out of the gun and out of the frame. So got a couple of different angles. Got some slower ones too, so you can see that. And you may not be able to see here, but the detail, the bump mapping, the texturing on these is just high quality. And then we have water. Good old water. Lens splashes. So these might not seem very useful, but I have several reasons I included these. Water hitting the lens. That's so when you have this great scene where something falls into the ocean and it hits right in front of the camera and water just hits the camera and it just is incredible. I saw it in the G.I. Joe trailer. I think it was in Star Trek. I mean, there was just too many reasons not to include that. And then we've got these big wet charges, plus some wide stuff for doing, bullet hits on water surfaces and stuff like that. And these are slow motion, so if you speed them up, they'll look a little bit smaller. Now, there is a final category called textures, but because those are just images, you can just go through on the main collection, open those up, check them out. We've got some bullet holes, pre-keyed, pre-matted. You can just drop those right on. There's a few different types on different surfaces, wood and all that, even some blood, some flesh wounds there. Some burn marks. So say you have a big explosion going off and you want to put some burn marks on the ground. These are great. I spent a good amount of time designing these and building those. So hopefully those will come into play. Hey, some textures, right? You know how these are used. This is a great window texture. I mean, this is just good stuff. Some cool cracks here. Got to have some textures. And we've got some windshields. So the video windshields, if those weren't enough, we've actually got some high quality images of windshields. So these are great, if you want to build your own hits and mix stuff together. The detail in these is just incredible. And we've also have some of the multi-hits together so you can, create some cool stuff. And some shattered glass. So hard to see the detail there, but that's perfect for shooting a window and just instantly making it look completely shattered. Now, there's one category that I specifically skipped, and that's these cracks. And, these look interesting, but what are they used for? Well, I designed these because I've used them before in certain cases where you don't really have a lot of time to, destroy the surface of an area. But if you have these great mats, watch what you can do. So here we have just a quick comp setup, and I've got these cracks. I'm going to bring it out, scale it down, and put it on the surface. And may not be the perfect example, but they're set up to change the transfer mode to overlay. And when you change it to overlay, maybe make 2 copies of it, you instantly create, now these should be mixed with other elements for realism, but they're not just for grounds. You can, take it, scale it down, maybe stick it up on the wall here, change the transfer mode to overlay, and maybe a big monster just punch the fist into the side of this wall, and you can have some of those dust elements falling off of it. A lot of cool possibilities there. So I hope you guys can see the potential of what we planned. Now, I think that should give you a pretty good idea on how to get started with Action Essentials. Bottom line is we spent a lot of time building elements for compositors. All these elements specifically planned so that they can be incorporated with your footage. Not just cool action stock footage, but stuff that you can use to make incredible action scenes and motion graphics, of course. Anyway, I'm done rambling. I just had to get this out of the way. My name is Andrew Kramer, and I hope you guys love this collection, and I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I will see you next time.